What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it.
You don't know what that order is, Mr. Trash. I'd show you, but I'm too old. I'm too tired. I'm too fucking blind. If I were the man I was 5 years ago, I'd take a flamethrower to this place.
Do you understand the words that are coming out of my mouth?
You want answers?
I think I'm entitled.
You want answers?
I want the truth!
You can't handle the truth!
We've said it once, we've said it twice, we've said it a million times. The truth shall always set you free. This is Tim from the new show, Fuck Your Sensitivity, the mad ramblings of a Gen Xer. Oh, there's so much I want to talk about today. I want to talk about AOC. I want to talk about the Affordable Care Act or Obamacare. And I want to talk deeply about why Die Hard was not a Christmas trilogy. These are the things that us Gen Xers that we think, these are the things that we think about. These are the things in our brain that we can't shut off. One thing that we can't shut off is the Affordable Care Act. Oh, it was basically a scam on America. Americans were manipulated into this fiasco that said that we were going to be saving all this money, that we were going to be getting $1,500 back a year. The premiums weren't going to go up. You were going to be able to keep your doctors. Oh, but it was all a fucking lie. You have to beg, borrow, and steal. Obama basically extorted certain senators to get his way, to get this passed. And the architect, Jonathan Gruber, came out and did and had an interview. And this interview was very apropos because he spoke about that this is one of the architects of the Affordable Care Act. And this may be old news to some, but since I am old, this is news that he basically came out and said the quiet part out loud for 2 consecutive minutes.
Politically, you just literally cannot do it. Okay, transparent financing, unless I have transparent financing, also transparent spending. I mean, this bill was written in a tortured way to make sure CBO did not score the mandate as taxes. If CBO scored the mandate as taxes, the bill dies. Okay, so it's written to do that. In terms of risk-rated subsidies, if you had a law which said healthy people are going to pay in, it made explicit that healthy people pay in and sick people get money, it would not have passed. Okay, just like lack of transparency is a huge political advantage.
Lack of transparency is a huge political advantage. Now, this is just a bill that changed and restructured the entire healthcare system, dropped in these subsidies that healthy people had to pay for the sick. People that were not even using this insurance had massive premiums that they had to pay. So those that were not healthy or those that were unwell would basically get free insurance. This was basically a tax. And again, he's saying the quiet part out loud, that you couldn't say these things to get this bill passed, but this is what was done.
And basically, call it the stupidity of the American voter or whatever. But basically, that was really, really critical to getting the thing to pass. And, it's the second best argument. Look, I wish Mark was right. We can make it all transparent, but I'd rather have this law than not. So it's kind of like his reporter story. There's things I wish I could change, but I'd rather have this law than not.
So first of all, you haven't publicly commented on this so far. Do you stand by the comments in that video?
The comment in the video were made at an academic conference. I was speaking off the cuff.
And then another Massachusetts hero, John Kerry, from more likely his staff, came up with a great substitute idea. They said, look, what you economics nerds want to do is you want to say that for people with expensive health insurance plans, they will no longer get a 40% tax break. What if we instead just levied a 40% tax on the insurance companies that sell these terrible expensive Cadillac plans? We said, well, that's pretty much the same thing. But why does it matter? I said, you'll see. And they were posted in that passed. The American voter is too stupid to understand the difference.
Again, this is another interview. This is a second interview again where he basically said, us Americans were stupid. We didn't understand it. And we didn't. Well, actually, some of us did. I understood it. I understood it immediately and said, you know what? As someone that has insurance from a company, that my premiums were going to skyrocket. And we've talked about that, the fact before. The first year under the Obamacare, my premiums went up like 45% and then continued to consecutively go up every year. Now, this is premiums for a company health plan for the organization that I was working for, and they just continue to go up. But I thought I was going to be protected because of the fact that I wasn't in this open marketplace, which is funny because the open marketplace, there's nothing open about it because the market was fucking closed. You took away the consumerism and basically said, you are no longer able to go out and shop these rates. This is what you have to get.
So basically, I was speaking off the cuff, and
until a second Massachusetts hero arose, John Kerry. And John Kerry said, no, we're going to tax your health insurance. We're going to tax those evil insurance companies. We're going to impose a tax that if they sell health insurance that's too expensive, we're going to tax them. And conveniently, the tax rate will happen to be the marginal tax rate under the income tax code. So basically, it's the same thing. We just tax the insurance companies. They pass it on higher prices. That offsets the tax break we get. It ends up being the same thing.
So basically, the government is taxing the insurance company, who is then taxing the premiums of their consumers, who then are stuck paying the higher premiums. And if you are young and healthy, your job is to basically pay for everyone else. This was a great plan. This was a great plan when it first came out. This was a great plan when I first saw this bill. It made me sick. It made me want to vomit. But of course, this is a guy with such disdain for the American people that they wanted to do anything to get this bill passed. And I do think they knew the implications of passing this bill, because it would destroy the free marketplace, which when you destroy the free marketplace with the socialism and the socialistic medicine, you are basically eliminating all competition, and it needs to then be government run because healthcare will be so expensive that no one can afford it. And this is what they did. And now we're sitting here 11 years later, and we're waiting to see this huge increase in 2026. And all we could talk about, all the Democrats can talk about, is the subsidies. We need to get the subsidies back in. I'm sorry, but when you passed the Inflation Reduction Act and added additional subsidies, the Democrats are the one that set the expiration date. Not one Republican voted for this. When the Affordable Care Act first passed, not one single Republican voted for this because they knew it was nonsense. They knew it was going to destroy the healthcare system as we knew it and lead to socialized medicine. And that's the path they've always wanted to go down. Because like we've said again, you can't have an open marketplace and then have the government control those prices. And now we've come to the pinnacle. We've come to that point where it's 0 hour. And the Democrats are panicking. They're trying everything they can to blame the Republicans for everything that they possibly thought of or could think of in reference to healthcare. And it's basically saying, well, it's all the Republicans' fault. Those damn Republicans. When the Republicans had nothing to do with this whatsoever. It's pure power politics, and they're trying to basically gaslight the American people. And at times I hope the American people are smart enough to understand that this direction that they're headed is not only bad for the world, but bad for this country. You know what's bad for this country? Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. Oh, AOC. She is the ringleader now, going after Chuck Schumer. I don't think she's going to run for president. I hope to God she did, because of the fact that we'll have the White House for another 4 years, because the ineptitude of this woman is astounding. How she got elected, I know how she got elected. She is an attractive Hispanic woman in a relatively Hispanic population in her district, even though she fucked them over with Amazon. She's passed no laws, no bills, has sponsored no laws, no bills, except for her wonderful one about reducing, for greenhouse effect with reducing the ozone issue by eliminating cow farts. But you listen to her talk, and I want to play this full clip because of the fact that it's like masturbating with the cheese grater. It's highly amusing at first, then fucking extremely painful.
Right? Because when we teach ourselves, or when we integrate this idea that being low income is, or earning a low income is our fault, as opposed to the fact that this is actually, there's like actually a very extractive and exploitative system set up by corporations and people in power.
The corporations and people in power are stopping people from going out and getting an education, or just going out and getting some type of trade. It's not the laziness of her constituents or parts of the American population. It's the evil fucking corporations. And I always think of Mr. Burns, excellent.
That, frankly, incomes that shouldn't even be legal in the United States that are so low are legal in the first place. Like, that is the sleight of hand that's happening here. So people want to blame people for being on WIC, but they don't want to blame some of the largest employers in this country for forcing hundreds of thousands of people to need WIC in the first place because they're paying them so little.
They're paying them so little for a reason. And this is part of her idiocy. If you force, and this is why forcing a minimum wage is just such a terrible idea, and most economists will tell you it's a terrible idea. You force a minimum wage. What happens at that point in time when you're forcing this minimum wage? You are then making the company pay more for the services that they're getting from these employees, which then means they're going to start cutting the additional hours for these employees, which then means there will be a turnaround of increase in prices, which then will be passed on to the, wait for it, the consumer, and force more people into online shopping. But don't worry, AOC, man, she's got this. Now she's going after Chuck Schumer. She talks about her own constituents are too dumb to realize Chuck Schumer isn't up. I just, you know what? I just, it's, you know, it's funny. Chuck Schumer's not up for re-election this year. Elections are over, but okay, AOC, let's hear about this from AOC.
Schumer stay as minority leader?
I think what is so important for folks to understand is that this problem is bigger than one person, and it actually is bigger than the minority leader in the Senate. You had
as like bigger than like a balloon, but like one of those like inflatable balloons that has like the helium, and they cook it with gas, and they make it go up like really high in the air, and it's really bigger than that. And yeah, like and it's like really bad.
8 Senate Democrats who coordinated their own votes on this, as well as...
This is the same woman that told people, especially the Republicans, if you want to make a deal, come to me. But these 8 Senate Democrats, these evil people that ended the lockdown and saved Christmas and Thanksgiving, oh, they should all be strung up.
You have 2 retiring members. Many of them are also up in several cycles from now, with the hope that people are going to forget this moment. And I think what's important is that we understand that this is not just a leader is reflected as a reflection of the party. And Senate Democrats have selected their leadership to represent them. And so the question needs to be bigger than just one person. We have several Senate primaries this cycle. I know I'm being asked about New York. That is years from now. I have to remind my own constituents because they think that this...
Your own constituents, which you ignore, because you're never actually in New York, and your constituents are concerned because of all the illegal immigrations that it is prostitution alley. But don't worry, you're busy worrying about Chuck Schumer.
Election is this year. We actually do have Senate elections this year, and my hope is that people...
You don't have Senate elections this year. You're still... Honey, let me help you out here. You're still in 2025, so there are no more Senate elections this year. This is the same woman that gave her thought process on Israel and went nowhere with it, and then goes, well, I'm not an expert in geopolitics, but you're answering a question on geopolitics.
Across this country actually participate in their primary elections in selecting their leadership.
Dear Lord. if she ever got elected, there's always that statement that if this person gets elected, I'm moving to Canada. If this woman ever got fucking elected, I would move to Mars. I would call Elon and say, are you building that rocket to Mars? Because even if it takes 4 years to get there, I'm down for that. I was watching on TBS yesterday or 2 days ago. I don't remember when it was. A couple days ago. Die Hard. And there's always that debate. Is Die Hard a Christmas movie? Because honestly, if you think about it, Die Hard 1 and 2 are both Christmas movies. Of course, you have John McClane over there in Nakatomi Plaza, fighting Hans Gruber, doing what he needs to do to make sure that Mrs. McClane is safe, or Mrs. Holly Gennaro is safe. You had the Christmas tree. You had all the trimmings. It was the perfect holiday movie. It was the perfect holiday action movie. It's got Christmas. It's got nostalgia. It's almost like Christmas Vacation with Chevy Chase. It's been titled I should rephrase that, the Christmas action movie. Family drama, redemption, snow. Well, sort of snow. Holiday music, villains who basically get what they deserve, like the Grinch. It became a Christmas holiday classic by accident. And with John McClane at the center of the franchise, of course, he's that flawed family man that's just trying to make it a better Christmas for his family by flying out from New York. Then, of course, you head into the second movie, Die Hard 2. Oh, but he's waiting for Holly at the airport. He's waiting for the planes to land. And of course, they're taken over by the terrorists. Oh, the world again. This time you have the snow. This time you have the entire Christmas season upon us. That was a dramatic pause. That's what they refer to as the caesura. But then the trilogy kind of ends. The Christmas trilogy ends. And I personally think it should be a Christmas trilogy. I would do Die Hard 1, Nakatomi Noel. I would do Die Hard 3, Silent Night, but Deadly Flight. And then I would have did Die Hard. That would be Die Hard 2. Then I would do Die Hard 3, Deck the Halls with C4. And we're going to get into that in a second. But literally, you had the thought process, or you had the vehicle for a Christmas trilogy for Die Hard. And I don't know why they didn't continue it. I probably thought they probably thought the audience would have gotten tired of seeing the same thing happen the same season to the McClane family, but I would have loved it. I would have taken Die Hard 3, Deck the Halls with C4. And I would have kept John and his family in New York. I would have had Holly and the kids move back. I would have the tourists. I would have the chaos. I would have the Rockefeller Centers. I would have everything. And I would sit there. You know what I would do? You had Simon Gruber, in part 3. I would bring Simon Gruber back, but I would have placed it in New York like the third movie is, and I would have just had it in the holiday season again. You literally could have completed a trilogy for this movie. Like I said, a holiday trilogy that would have lived on forever. A Christmas Story right now is played 24 hours, during Christmas on TBS. Elf is played 24 hours every Christmas Eve to Christmas through Christmas. I forget what channel. But they missed the mark. I really do think they literally missed the mark on this one. It would have been great. It would have been, it just would have been something spectacular. You could have, like I said, you could have had the snow. I would have ended it. I would have ended it in Rockefeller Center. I would have ended it under the tree. They always have that dramatic ending. You always have that moment where you just look at it and say, just that wow factor, almost like Charlton Heston at the end of the Planet of the Apes. I would have had John McClane battling Simon Gruber under that tree, the snow falling, Holly kidnapped somewhere, strapped to C4 with the timer ticking down, waiting for that final ho, ho, ho. this was a fun show today. Hope everyone enjoyed it. As always, formerly, this is Get Off My Lawn, the Mad Ramblings of a Gen Xer. This is now Fuck Your Sensitivity, the Mad Ramblings of a Gen Xer. This is Tim. And we've said it once. We said it twice. We said it a million times. The truth shall always set you free. And I'm out of here.